Hello, I'm Reverend Garth Schumacher, and you are here at the lectionary Bible study from Congregational United Church of Christ of Amory, Wisconsin. And I'm really glad you're here today. Today, we're going to be going over the story that we'll be using this coming Sunday on June 20th, which is the story of David and Goliath. Now, if you've been in church at all in your lifetime, you remember this story from 1 Samuel 17:32 through 49. And as you will recall, this is the story where the armies of the tribes of Israel are out on the battlefield going up against the Philistine army. And the leader from the Philistines sends out their greatest warrior, Goliath, and he is a mountain of a man. And they say, instead of our armies meeting and killing one another, why don't you throw up somebody against Goliath? And if you beat them, then we will become your slaves, and then vice versa. Well, Saul at that time, King Saul, is looking out over the field, and they're all frightened. Every soldier and Saul himself are very concerned. If they don't take up this challenge, are they really strong? Are they really a great enough confederation of tribes? About that time, David shows up, and he is there bringing supplies to his brothers who are now in the army for this fight. And he hears about this Goliath, and he said, "How dare Goliath challenge us like this? I'll take up this fight." And Saul, seeing David, of course, probably, I don't know. I always visualize David as being something like 120 pounds soaking wet. I don't know. We don't know for a fact, but he is smaller than the other brothers and probably 1/3 the size of Goliath. And Saul says no, but David says, "I have God on my side." When I was out there shepherding the sheep, lions and bears would come and take a sheep or a lamb, and I would go out and face that lion or bear, and I would make sure that that lamb comes out of their mouth, and then I would kill the lion or the bear. He was very brave that he would, lions, come on. And so Saul says, well, okay. I don't know why Saul says okay, but he does. And so Saul then puts his own armor, begins having it put on to David. And this armor is so heavy that David can barely move in it. And he says, no, take this off. This is not for me. I'm going to go out and meet him the way I am going to meet him. And so David goes out onto the field of battle, and Goliath can't believe his eyes. And are you insulting me by sending this little boy out to fight me, great Goliath? And so they charge one another. And Goliath brings out his huge sword. And as you know the story, David gets his sling together. And it's one of those slings where you, like a bolo or something like that, and he pops it, and the rock hits Goliath in the forehead and kills him dead. So David has proven himself on the battlefield, and he has killed Goliath, and Israel is saved. The crux of the story has to do not as much with David's bravery, although there's plenty of that, but he was given that bravery because of his faith in God, because of his ongoing relationship with God. He had faced lions and bears, and so he had learned how to face his own fear, and he saw this as just another fear to face. So he was ready for this fight. Nobody else was, but David was. How like that is in our world today, in which we need to have leaders that lead us into the fear, lead us into the fight, lead us into our challenges. We need leaders, not managers. We need transformation, not same old, same old. Ron Heifetz is a professor at the Harvard Kennedy School of Leadership. And one of the things that he talks about is the difference between technical change and adaptive change. Technical change is when you have basically all the skills and things that you need. You just need to get everybody on the same side and manage the situation and work the problem. But adaptive change is very different. Adaptive change calls for a certain transformation within the organization because you're all going to have to learn some new things in order to make this new challenge work out your way. I feel as if our country is going through this phase right now in which we don't need just technical change. We need adaptive change. We need the transformation. And here again, the story of David and Goliath is informative. It is through David's relationship with God over time that he has the courage to adapt to this seemingly insurmountable odds. And he's able to defeat those odds and win the day. So as leaders, we're all leaders. We're in the United Church of Christ, we're all ministers. Do we rely on God? Do we have the relationship with God to make those challenges work our way? Or do we say, oh, we don't need God. These are little just technical changes. And then, a big one comes up and we don't have the support under us. We don't have the relationship with God underneath us. What do we have in our lives as individuals, as a family, as a community, as a church, as a nation? And how do we encourage and empower others in their own leadership? The reason why I'm asking this is you'll remember when Ron Heifetz talks about the adaptive change, everybody has to learn. Everybody has to get on board to make those changes happen, to face those challenges. And David, at this particular time, had the greatest partner in challenge that anybody could have, and that was God. Let us all have God together in our daily challenges and in our lifetime of challenge. Would you please pray with me? Calm our fears, enable our skills and talents to shine through with authenticity, reflecting your sense of justice for all to see. Go in peace. Amen.